So next up, we have Mark. Mark is going to be talking about the Honorverse, and he's going to be giving us a good look at how training in the Royal Manticoran Navy changed the first war depicted in this universe. So Mark is the Senior Vice President of Business Development, and he is a proud member of the US Naval Academy's class of 1989. He's had a long career in both government and industry service, serving in various phases of defense acquisition as well as security policy. He served as the Deputy Assistant to the President and the Senior Director of Defense Policy on the National Security Council, and he has also been a major program manager for the DTG 51 class of shipbuilding. And finally, he was the commanding officer of the Carderock. So, Mark, you are up next. Take it away. I'm excited to see what you got.
I had to unmute myself. There we go. So good evening. As Puff said, I'm Mark Vandroff. I'm going to be talking about the Honorverse tonight, and specifically officer training in the Honorverse. For a quick overview, for those of you who are not David Weber fans, and I encourage you who are not David Weber fans to become David Weber fans if you love science fiction. The Honorverse is a fictional universe started by David Weber, but with significant other authors who have contributed to it. They even have their own in-house think tank, BU9. It tells the story of humanity about 1900 years in the future. The humankind has taken to the stars, and now most of the galaxy is populated, most of the habitable planets, and those different planets have developed their own societies and their own governments. And the one that is the key of focus is the Star Kingdom of Manticore. 3 planets, binary star system, and it is the location of the wormhole junction, the Manticore wormhole junction. These wormhole junctions literally are wormholes where ships can move from one part of the galaxy to another instantaneously. And then they serve as the choke points of the future. These are the Straits of Malacca and the Suez Canal and the Panama Canal of the 1900 years into the future. 14 novels in the main line, including and then additional novels and short stories in the side series. A highly entertaining universe. So let's talk about what Manticore was like as the series begins and in the prequels just before the main series begins. Manticore is a relatively isolationist star kingdom. And it's got just a few key missions. Because of the wormhole junction, it's a navy that is protecting its commerce, because Manticore is a commerce leader because it sits on this valuable wormhole junction. So it's protect the wormhole and guard your commerce. And that forms a certain kind of navy and a certain type of structure in order to train and educate the officers who are going to lead this Navy. It has a small, tight-knit academy, 250 to 300 per class, a lot of emphasis on tactics and a lot of emphasis on physical combat. And then, similar to the way of the U.S. Navy of the 1800s, they're not commissioned at the end of their undergraduate education. They're sent on a midshipman cruise as a final exam. And if the captain and officers of the ship believe they're commission worthy, they're commissioned at the end of their midshipman cruise. There's then an advanced tactical course where field grade officers come back for 6 months of extreme tactical training and everything from single unit tactics all the way up to fleet tactics. And you can have in this universe a 4-star admiral or general that we would think of as not being tactical. But if you have units, even a large number of units that are in communication with each other and fight as a single force, that's considered tactical. So the advanced tactical course is for field grade and what we would call flag grade officers. And it really identifies those that can have higher combat command. There is a Naval War College. We don't know much about it until later on in the war. All we know is that it was reformed hundreds of years ago by the legendary Commodore Ellen de Orville, but it's not mentioned much in the canon until you actually get into the war. So the first Havenite War, which starts in 1905, as the story goes, 1905 years after mankind leaves Earth, and is a 10-year war. It ends in Operation Buttercup in 1915. This really transforms this little isolationist Navy because they're now fighting for their life against the much larger Havenites. Manticore, because they're such a rich per capita society, they have great technology and they leverage that technology to try and give them an advantage against the Havenites' greater size. But as much as their technology is superior, they have to learn to use it. They have to change the way that they educate their warfighters in order to make maximum use of that technology. Additionally, they create an alliance to help them with the Havenites, but they have to learn to integrate themselves with that alliance. And their principal ally, Grayson, by the end of the First Havenite War, Grayson ships are making up a significant part of the alliance's order of battle. Finally, the Havenites engage in a lot of innovative strategic approaches to try and disrupt Manticoran commerce, and the operational concepts that Manticore employs to protect their commerce, that has to change. So what do we see? Their Naval Academy, their undergraduate experience, that expands significantly from a few hundred to several thousand. And they're educating not just their own officers, they're educating the midshipmen from allied navies. Similar to U.S. experience World War II, they shrink down that. They commission where they can from either enlisted or merchants. They still maintain the midshipman crews because that's considered vital. Honor Harrington comes back after having been a prisoner of war and a combat commander, and takes over the advanced tactical course and reforms it. And she does two key things with it. One is to increase its interaction with the technological development community, with what we would call the acquisition community. And two, to increase the study and the use of allied systems and tactics. And finally, we see the Naval War College really coming into its own when Vice Admiral Mark Sarnar assumes command in 1911 and tackles the operational problem of Havenite commerce raiding. And rather than focus on tactics, he has officers that are thinking about new operational concepts that will help minimize the risk from Havenite commerce raiding. So what would the Navy of today take away from the Manticorean Navy of the fictional future? And I got a few things out of this. One is you have to understand, and this comes from an acquisition guy, as much as I love my career of building things for the warfighter, building the warfighter is at least as much a challenge as building the things for the warfighter. And warfighters have to be properly trained and properly educated. Tactical skills, they require frequent refreshing because they are perishable. And a good schoolhouse is in sync with your acquisition community so that you get a beneficial cycle, so that the acquisition community has the benefit of the schoolhouse's thinking, and that the schoolhouse can incorporate the most recent kit that is developed in order to make sure that its warfighters are sent out there ready to properly employ that which is being fielded. War colleges don't exist to promote tactics. They exist to promote operational thought. And that just goes to underline that there's a difference between training, the development of specific skills, and education, the development of thinking broadly. Finally, if you're going to fight with allies, and I think this is the most important lesson for today, you need to go to school with your allies. You need to learn with your allies, because if you don't do that in peacetime, you're not going to be able to operate with them during war. With that, I look forward to your questions, and back to you, Puff.
All right, thank you so much. That was fantastic. I will admit that I did not know much about the Honorverse, so this was a good lesson in what it is, as well as where we can learn from this. So thanks so much.